we have removal, replace synergy, healing, which we put in instead of dream gazers because the dream gazers were bad and healing is good. This deck is fairly slow. Chromatic codes, great removal. Cryptographer, I think this can be replaced with something else as well. Like trying to stack up the BBS is cute, but these guys aren't doing enough work. Maybe with the extra Azza Heralds, these can become the Spelljammers. Crystal Wisp, never really did much. I guess with Jammers in the deck, they get better. So we could do like, cut these, put in a third Wisp. Maybe some Mana Death Grips. And we can put in Jammer. 2 Jammers. That might make might make the deck flow a little more smoothly. And rely a little less on sticking the Sojourners. Right, so now we have Crystal Wisp. We still have 9 2-drops. That's still really good. Frigid Corona, which is also an acceptable turn 1 play. Then we have Sojourner and Wings of Paradise. Wings of Paradise, obviously, nice burst. And a nice, powerful tempo card generally. We have Spelljammers for draw, which I've just put in. White Widows, these guys are kind of the main combo piece, I guess. Widow is definitely better than Kron. Comes down a turn earlier, so curves into Theobule. We have Frostburns. We have Inquisitor Kron, because this is the reason to play Kara. So Kron, instead of like Starhorn, Kron is quite powerful when you buff him. And then we have Theobules for the massive burst. So we've had one game where we played 3 Theobules in a row and dealt 34 damage with White Widow, and then a bunch of games where we kind of got run over and almost stabilized but didn't quite get there, or almost won but didn't quite get there. Due in part to a lot of Blood of Airs, but still. And I put this guy in for the lulz, but the deck needs the help. Let's just put in more Spelljammers. Right, so now we have tons of draw, tons of card cycle, bit of healing, bit more ramp, so that should make the deck flow a bit more smoothly. I'll keep working on it and let you guys know how it gets on, basically. Then we have Rock Saint's Veil of Golems. My name, I just put whatever names on decks. This thing is essentially... Here we go. The idea behind this is to use Veil Ascension with, obviously, Hallowed Ground tiles and a low curve. So instead of struggling for ages to find targets for things like Sanctify and get Fortified Assault to do anything, the idea was to play cheap minions, so you'd always have Sanctify targets, and then you can, it's only 2 mana, right? So if you resurrect a Warblade, that's really good. If you resurrect a Golden Metallurgist, it's not that bad. And obviously sometimes you'll get a 3-drop. So we have these Silver Guard Knights, Soul Pontiffs, we have Thunderhorn, Boulder Breacher. I think Rock Saint's original list had Ironcliff Guardians. I cut them for... I put in a Komodo Hunter, which I think I'm going to get rid of, and Celebrants to make the golems more consistent. So we basically have all the 2-drop golems, Celebrant, Metallurgist, Warblade. We have the Fortified Assault and the Sanctify, and the Veil Ascension, and that's basically our kind of engine. We have golems into Hallowed Ground stuff. And then we have good creatures that help us play tempo and get back good things with Veil Ascension. So we've got a Komodo Hunter, which, again, I think I'm going to cut that, maybe replace it with a Wild Tower or a Scintilla or something. 3 Silver Guard Knight, 3 Soul Pontiff, because this guy is disgusting. 3 Immolation, because duh. Thunderhorns, Trinity Oaths, because you're going to need this. Boulder Breacher for nice tempo swings. And then 2 copies of Aperian's Claim, primarily because it generates Hallowed Ground. Yeah, the Dark Jammers were... There was a tournament that had a prize draw where 2 random entrants would get Dark Jammers, and me and my girlfriend won them both. Oh, hello, Wooga. Yeah, I drew the Blood of Airs at the right moments. Yes, I felt so bad. That was awful. The buffed Kron was going to be so good. But you had the... I think that was the third one. No, the third one was the Theobule, the large Theobule. I mean, it's a risk, right? Like, this is why people don't play Kron. It's too easy to kill nowadays. I might have still had a chance if I'd gotten the Force Field one, actually. Although I guess you could have hit it. But then you take 3 extra damage, I take 2 less damage. That might have made a difference. What else have I tried today? We tried a Sentinel-based tempo deck, which I thought was a little lacking in gas. It was cool because, obviously you play with the Vanar early game, which is always really satisfying and flexible. Play Circulars to draw, play Sentinels to troll people. But ultimately I felt like this was not quite enough. and you need some kind of win condition that isn't just Blue Conjurer. Actually, as an aside, I have tried playing Cassava with Blue Conjurer and Death Knell as the win con, and it was awful. That's not good enough. It was far too slow. We tried Golems with a twist. This is a Vet Golem deck with the Azure Summoning package of Azure Summoning 3 Dragonlarks, 3 Skywings, and a Noshrak. The idea being that you play all of those cards in one turn, except the Noshrak, and you end up with like a bunch of flyers and a Noshrak in your hand, and the next turn you jam the Noshrak. If they haven't AoE'd, you win. It worked fairly well. We had one game that I won, and one game where I got a really bad opening hand, and just sort of scraped by, almost pulled it back, got killed by the 3rd Blood of Air in the end, but he had like loads of time to draw it, so it was a bit less less ridiculous than the last game. This deck, I like this. This is a cool idea. Like, it's really soft to AoE because you don't have Inner Oasis, so I might want to put that in. Like, probably cut a Rash's Curse, maybe a Mirage or an EMP for an Inner Oasis, like, because it goes so well with literally everything the deck is doing. Except the EMP, I guess. That's a bit of an odd... The EMP is an interesting choice, actually. What made you put those in, Blob? Those decks are very innovative. I had so much fun watching. Oh, thank you. I did not come up with most of these. This was Blob's idea, Improbable Blob. This was Rock Saint's idea. And this was Sunkissed. It's a Sunkissed game deck. Did I play anything else today? Oh, I played Keep of Arth earlier as well. And got the Flash Mage one against Songhai. They answered it, and then I won anyway because, I don't know. I got really lucky to win that game. I think my opponent just ran out of gas and had to use awkward answers on my big things, which, you know, is exactly what Keep of Arth is for. That is how it wins. There is another deck that I built that has, I think, the best pun that I've played with today, which is this Vesper deck. Get it? Get it? There's a lot of Vespers now. Like, a lot of good low-curve Vespers. You can stick Vespers in play. You can build up a fairly solid board. So I just wondered what it would be like to play, you know, all the Vespers. So we have the payoffs being Borean Bear, which, you know, is Frostfire, which is pretty good. Glacial Elemental and Iceblade Dryad, which I think are really good. And we have, like, Cryogenesis as fuel, Voice of the Wind as fuel. There's an Aspect of the Mountain in case you need it. I think there's some normal Vanar removal as well. Like, this is probably awful, but there's enough tempo in here that it might work. So I haven't tested that one yet. That's an idea. If anyone has a chance to give it a go, it's really cheap. Like, I think the only legendaries are the Voice of the Wind and the Aspect, which are like, this is replaceable. It's just there because I wanted an AoE, kind of for a Frostburn, I guess. These could also be Frostburns. Frostburn is a really good card. And the rest of it's commons and rares, I think. This is an epic. Oh, I did actually have to craft Iceblade Dryads for some reason. Yeah, so there's actually a bunch of different stuff. I decided this week I needed to experiment more with Duelyst, actually go and spend some of the dust I'd been sitting on and not using. Because, you know, I built like 7 or 8 decks after the expansion and then kind of stopped. So there's loads of depth in this pool of cards, though. Like, I still haven't tried playing things like Aggro Abyssian. I probably should, because there's the TCG esports tournament coming up in like a month. So I should probably start training for that at some point. So we should get some tournament testing streams going. Have I done anything more with Nekomata? No, I tried tuning Lurking Fear. That just didn't work. This list is bad. I think the Nekomata's actually honestly made it worse. Which makes me really sad, because that card looked so good when I started. It was my spoiler card and everything. I really wanted it to be good. I also tried Control Cast with Neko, and it was also rubbish. I think the meta's fairly aggressive right now. Like, it's still quite soon after the expansion's release when you think about it. Like, we're, a month in? And Duelist's quite an aggressive game anyway. The, Vet is good. Vet tends to be aggro. Aggro Cast is good. Songhai and Vanar are good, and you have to be fast. So, like, everyone's playing aggro, so it's kind of hard to play Lurking Fear, because this really isn't the meta for it. The dream is one day the game gets, like, super control focused, and you can play Lurking Fear and crush everybody. But that's probably never going to happen. Where are we at? EMP kills walls. I hate walls. Yeah, that's fair enough. And another answer to range stuff. That's entirely reasonable. Also doesn't die to AoE like everything else. No, I think that's pretty fine. I think the deck is as strong as Obelisks. I have an 80% win rate. That's very impressive. Like, it did feel plenty strong. Like, the one game I lost was a terrible draw. My main concern is, like, so obviously when things like Songhai and Abyss are popular, you don't have to worry too much about AoE, but like given that the deck is so good if your opponent doesn't have a Wrath, it seems worth putting in Inner Oasis so you can make that happen. Like, if you get the combo, you go, here's all my flyers, oh, you didn't kill them, here's a Noshrak, you die. So it seems like it'd be really nice to have a way of ensuring that, or protecting it a little bit. Like, you're still a dog to Plasma Storm, but whatever, everyone is. And you've got first wishes to play around that a bit. But like, it would be really cool to have a couple Inner Oasis in there. I mean, maybe you can't find the mana, maybe it just doesn't work and you're better off streamlining, but Lucky Fair got to the finals of the TCG tournament. That's very interesting. I'll have to look that up, actually. I don't know what the list on the Bagoom thing is. Let me just look it up. It wouldn't massively surprise me if it was mine, which is bad. Lucky Fair. Oh, it's TM21's version. Cryptographer Shroud Phantasm? Okay, I can kind of see where this is going. So you play Lurking Fear with Necromata to basically try and enable fast Vorpal Reavers. But this looks like someone put Lurking Fear in Aggro Abyss rather than playing like the control thing. Actually, to be fair, when I was testing Lurking Fear the other day, I played like 5 games with it, and I drew a single Lurking Fear in those 5 games. And it was near the end. So that probably didn't help. However, I do think that Necromata is kind of weak enough that you probably want to go down to maybe 1 copy and rely on Rite of the Undervault as card draw, because it just works much more smoothly. Like, just playing 0 Necromata, 2 Rites might be good enough. More Desolators then, you get more healing. In fact, while I'm here, just before I go, so if we get rid of these, we put in a second Rite, put in more 2-drops. So this is basically what I was playing before the expansion. I don't know if it, except it has Desolators. Actually, yeah, let's cut a Jaxi for, maybe cut Kaleno for Desolator. She does usually just die. In fact, yeah, let's put in Desolators and Shadow Dancer instead of Kaleno. Oh, okay, apparently I only own 2 Desolators. Let's put a 3rd Kaleno then. The persistent healing from Kaleno is quite nice, but Shadow Dancer is... The chip damage from Shadow Dancer is super relevant. She gives you an answer to artifacts, which you can otherwise struggle with. Yeah, so this version should play a bit more smoothly than the Neko version, but it's still quite slow. Like, you're relying heavily on getting Lurking Fear into like the big stuff. But I'll try that out at some point. The issue with Fear decks is you need to draw Lurking Fear to get it to work. Pre-expansion, I have one without drawing it. Like, you are just playing a bunch of value, high-tempo minions. So you have like a crap turn 1 or 2, and then you just like, dual test. They go, okay, I'll kill that. And you go, Reaper of the Nine Moons. They go, I'll kill that. And you go, Reaper of the Nine Moons. They go, oh, I don't have a removal anymore. Whoops. And if they're not massively pressuring you, then you win. Basically, by doing that. Like, you play all these minions that they're forced to answer or work around. And then once they run out of answers, you win. The problem comes with if they're just going face, which kind of everyone is now, so that also makes the archetype worse. I end up replacing Oasis a lot. You actually took it out. That's fair enough. I'll definitely bow to your experience on that note, on that matter. Phantasm is too good not to play? Maybe. I don't know, like, once you're playing Phantasm, you want the rush minions, and then you don't want Lurking Fair anymore, like, I don't know. Actually, just putting Lurking Fear and some Deathwatch stuff in Aggro Abyss seems kind of bad. I like the idea of using Necromata as a value engine there. Like, you could just cut all the other Dying Wish stuff. Maybe put in, you know, a Reaper or something. But you play Nekos and Desolators and just use them to find each other. So the Nekos give you a stream of card advantage. It's just another source of draw and extra mid-game plays, which might be reasonable.